Are you one of those players looking for a quick win in trappy fashion against a Sicilian defense, or are you a player that likes to play the Scotch Gambit or opening game and try to play for a quick win as well? This is a one-stop shop, a video for you for this both topics. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Sicilian Defense, how to play a quick win against that in a trapping format. So this is a open Sicilian. Of course, that opens with a lot of floodgates or traps. So knight to g4, knight f6. Black is just trying to have a dragon setup of g6. Now we go f4, bishop b7. So if you want to trap somebody, you want to open the game. So e5 is a perfect way to do that. So now black is a basically misguided mistake after knight g4. It's defended by the bishop, so there's no worries about the knight hanging. But there's going to be open up a can to black after bishop b5 check. So basically they can go king f8 or knight c6, which is really bad. So after knight c6, they can't take back because there'll be a fork on the rook and the king. So they can't do that. So they go queen to c1, check, knight to e1, a6. So say if you do surface check, I'll take the bishop. So they go back with the bishop to a4, bishop b7 to just block the communication, a3 to have knight. If they go knight a6, we go knight takes e7. Bishop takes a4, naturally, but now knight d5. Starting to do a fork. And, well, they can't castle queenside because, you know why? Well, knight b6 is a fork between the king and the bishop, so that would be not good. So let's say if they go something like castle kingside, then knight b6 is a fork between the rook and the bishop, and white is just totally blasting black's position. So let's go back to the moment that we had bishop e5 after king f8, let's say. Then white has a shocking tactical just move that just ends the game right on the spot. You see it? The move is basically the key for this trap is this move, knight e6, and you win the game because the queen will be taken with either f takes e6 or bishop takes e6, doesn't matter. But then queen takes d8. Check will be the deciding factor of this game will be in white's favor. So the game is over. So the second example here is from the basically after d6, this Alpin sort of thing that is basically doesn't have to be e4 c3, but after knight f3 then c3 after d6, we have the same opening trap. After knight f6, white goes cheekily move bishop e2. And sometimes a lot of beginners just take the pawn on e4 with the mistake that there's going to be a check on a4 with a queen, and we would pick up a knight for free. So that's not worth a pawn because, yeah, the knight will be taken for the pawn. So it's basically a quick win sort of trap. So a lot of beginners will be just saying, oh, I just don't know what about to do. So like, resign. It'll be really good to try to do this trick a lot for beginners. The third and final example of the Sicilian defense and trap that we have is a game that Bobby Fischer played as white against Rashevsky, and Bobby Fischer was only 14, mind you, but he won in a really trappy, quick fashion. Let's see the game. e4, c5, knight 3, knight c6, d4 takes there, knight takes d4, g6, knight c3, bishop b7, bishop b3, all of these always open Sicilians, really just trappy, if you can do it. Castles, bishop b3, a really important move, and now Rashevsky did knight a5, was really so like it's a deep reason why that's bad, because you're going to see right now after e5 attacking the knight, white just said knight e8. But basically the best move for black is doing this really awkward takes on b3, and everything's going ugly. So take there, take there, take there, and g7. Let's say taking the king. They don't take an a1 because the right is really trapped, so they can castle. And white is just definitely very better. So in the game, they didn't do that. Rashevsky played after e5, knight e8. And Bobby Fischer played a really spectacular trap move, bishop to f7. So basically, at this point, that rook has to take out a7. We'll talk about this king takes f7 line later, but after this one, Bobby Fischer made the really good winning move, knight e6. And the queen's trapped. They could take the white, but the queen behind it will be taken. So let's say the king takes bishop line instead. Then white goes knight e6 still. They say, okay, take the knight with the king, but no, mate is going to be forced in a couple moves. Queen d5, king f5, g4 check, king takes g4 possibly, king e4, king h5, getting away from this white barrage, rook g1, g5, but now rook to g5, king h6, and now queen h4 is mate, so that's not good. So basically, ultimately, this trap that's set by Bobby Fischer, Black's just making normal moves, and basically it's blowing up the adversary's face, and white was able to win really cleanly and quickly. So now is the part where we're talking about the Scotch Gambit, how to play quick wins in this opening. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4 is a Scotch Gambit or game move. So d4 takes on d4, knight g5 is really recommended to this really trappy line, that really not the best lines, but knight g5 after h6 with the way the knight, but now knight takes f7 right now, smacking him in the face. King takes f7, now bishop g4 check. Sometimes people go to king e8, but they really need to go something like king g6, which is really scary, but it's the best move. But some people do this king 8 move, but now queen h5 check. And now king e7, doesn't matter if it's just, if they go g6, just take the pawn, doesn't matter. The same result will happen. So king e7, queen f7, king d6, bishop f4. So the king can go c5, but now queen d5 check. Doesn't matter if they go to b4 or b6, just queen b5 is mate. So in this line, let's say they go knight e5. Instead, we go queen d5 check, king e7 is forced, and now queen takes e5 as a checkmate, and the game is over already. So we're going to end with another example of the Scotch game or gambit. So we're going to find this opening really choppy and really quick wins if the black players does not do well at defense. So knight f3, knight c6, d4. Basically, the customary about the Scotch Gambit is d4, taking d4. Now, different lines, bishop d4 now, bishop d5, and now c3, take the pawn. Wanted that, so they take the pawn, bishop f7, smack him in the face again. So you see the Scotch Gambit is already ready for the punch of the face. So king takes f7, now queen d5, to fork the king and the bishop. So a lot of times, black does just king f8, accepting the queen takes c5 check. So they do queen f7 most likely, and we go back with a queen, defending e4, with a pawn, with a queen on e3. So they take on b2. We're just happy. So bishop b2, have a lovely bishop on this long diagonal. So there's no worries about this queen b4 check. Let's say they go this way, just try to fork the king and the bishop, because we have bishop c3, defended by the queen and the knight. So they don't usually do that. They do d6, defending and developing the bishop on c8. But we just do castling, and this white is just way better, and it's worth a lot more than the 2 pawns we gambited. So you can basically see a lot of resignations if you just see them continue. They're going to be struggling after this really good initiative that white builds up, and the game will be just really over in a lot of moves, because the king on f8 is really ugly and just basically asking for him to be checkmated. So I hope you gain value from watching this video, and if you hit that like button, I'll be saying thank you for supporting my channel. I'll see you next video.